scientific publishing, then this first picture will probably put a lot of fear into you, because it's basically logos of different preprint servers. And preprint servers is this. Anybody, almost anybody, can write a paper, put it on a server for free, make it available to everybody, and not pay anybody, for this, and especially not to pay publishers. And then the question is, if you are a scientific publisher, what is your value proposition? What can you offer in the world where everybody can put something for free for the world to know? And the usual answer is twofold. First, scientific publishers say, well, you are gatekeepers. We have some peer review process. It means that whatever people publish in our journals, and like preprints, you can have some idea that this is a good stuff. And second value proposition is we don't just publish what we obtain from the authors. We copy edit it, we make it better. And this is very important, especially because now science is global. A lot of input is from people for whom English is not the first or even not the second language. So you need some copy editing to make the author's thoughts clear. And second, the prose is now really bad. And AIs in LLMs actually make this problem much worse. Because first, they write really bad prose. And second, there are many people who start to write like LLM, which makes their prose absolutely unbearable. So I'm not going to talk about the first thing. I'm not going to talk about peer review. I'm going to talk about copy editing. And one of the things for a technician is, yes, there is a lot of copy editing going around. Probably publishers will do more of it because it's what they need to do to stay afloat in the world of free publications. How can we make tools to make it easy for copy editors to work and easy for authors to work with the copy editors? Okay, let's start with this. Suppose you're a copy editor and you see this kind of text from the author. What you would do? You would immediately say that it's not a very good text. A most interesting relation is not in English. Relation could be either a very interesting or the most interesting, right? Then you look at this equation and you say that inline equation with integrals like this, you can do it only if you are very, very, if you really don't have enough space. In any good paper, you want to make it displayed. And of course, can be deriving, of course it could be derived. And then you look at the parentheses here and you say, well, they are small. They are too small, you need to do. So you will do something like this. And this is much better, but still you have a problem. And problem is that you cannot decide by yourself if you're a copy editor whether it's the most or a very, and you need to ask author. You make the other changes, but not this one. So, and by the way, when the author reads, the author needs the way to understand what you as a copy editor did, how you did it, approve or disapprove. So if you just send the author with the two texts, you'll basically make the author play the game I really loved in my childhood, the play of find 10 differences between two pictures. And this is not what you want. You want to tell the author what you did, you want to communicate with the author, query the author is possible, and so on. How do you do this? Well, the old-fashioned way of doing it is this. You take a pen, you take a lot and a lot of tea, and you start to mark up the proofs. And many of us who are older have spent a lot of time doing this. I certainly did. And, well, it's old-fashioned, but probably not something you want to do in the 21st century. Here is a better way. This is PDF annotations. Most of PDF tools allow you to put some marks, and you can just say that, okay, here is your question to the author, here is what you changed, and so on. It's absolutely great. The problem with the PDF annotations is that after you recompile your TUG file, they disappear. And if you do it several times, you need to, basically, you do your copy editing, then you do annotations, and when you start annotations, you probably forgot what you copy edited and why. Of course, it's possible with things like NewPacks, and by the way, thanks Ulrike, it is a great package. You can probably take the annotations outside of this, then recompile and put it back, but it wouldn't work if you changed something. They would probably change their position. It's not something you want to do. So what can you also do? You can try a great tool I really love, which is called LaTeX div. And this is a tool I always use when I'm an author and a journal asks me to show what changes I did as an answer to reviewers, and this is absolutely great tool. But it's not good for communication with authors for copy editing, because first, it's almost impossible to understand how the final result looks. Second, you still don't have good way to ask questions to authors, query, and so on. So this tool has its own uses, but probably not for copy editors. This is the most low-tech solution. You just put comments in the code. And it's versatile. You can put anything you want, but authors don't read the code. Authors don't read what you put there. And even if they read, it makes it's a problem for them to relate to PDF. So it's probably not what you want. There is a way to try to make authors to read the code. You put some comments in special editor. Here is an example for overleaf. I know that both TechFolio and Prima have similar things. You basically can do what authors who worked with Microsoft Word know how to do. You put marginal comments here. You can put anything. Authors can answer the comments, close, change, and so on. It's very good, but still you need to go from the code to the PDF. You need to understand what is there, and it requires a lot of effort. And second, with respect to overleaf, if you choose this thing, you are locked into their solution, which is fine. It's a part of your ecosystem. But as a person who just, I think it was just before coming to India, paid $400 to overleaf for my annual subscription, I think it would not. It's probably not something you want every author and every copy editor to do. So what do you want? Of course, what do you want besides peace and justice? And now, we want a really clear way to communicate copy editing changes to authors. Again, we want something like with PDF annotations, but probably better than this. We also want multiple layers. The idea is you put something communication to author response, then you put second layer, and you should be able to select each layer that you want. Or if you have a team of copy editors, you want to have some layers which you could exchange between copy editors, but not to the authors. And the thing is that when you think about it, copy editor is not an author. Copy editor is somebody who journals employ or freelancers, and you can rely on them being able to learn something like a couple of tech comments. You cannot make author learn anything, but you can make your employee to learn how to do TUG commands. So it's okay to introduce new LaTeX commands. So basically, my design requirement was that I can make it reasonably difficult for copy editors. Okay, I can make my learning curve reasonably steep for copy editors, but absolutely nothing I could request from the authors. Okay, here is the solution which is now employed by a couple of journals I have. As you see, you have text, and you have commands like highlight, which highlight a most. You have something like editorial comment, and editorial, and you put this in TUG file, then you compile, and here's what you get. You have marginal comments, you have highlighted text like this, this thing is, if you look at this, if you're a technician, it's something you can do very easily. But if you're an author, it's very easy to understand what you are doing. We have a lot of other features I don't want to show right now because it will take some time, but basically the most important feature is that as soon as you say this is the final version and change the option of your document class, all your comments and all your highlights disappear. So you don't need to manually delete them from the text, and actually it's better than they are in the TUG file because they are basically a document and the paper, electronic trail of what you did. But they disappear after this. You have layers with different colors, so you can say something like e-select important, and everything which you mark up as important will be in the red. You can say e-select blue wish list, everything you marked as a wish list will be in blue. And if you comment out e-select, this layer will just disappear. You will not see anything. And you can move comments up and down. I will talk about this in a moment, why I need this. Implementation, how it's implemented. Well, basically, layers are implemented as internal comments like layer important is the editorial comment. Important in the beginning or in the final production, with the things do nothing. In the manuscript mode, if you selected them, they will do something. A little bit extra thing with highlighting. I wanted to make highlighting change in color. Unfortunately, hyperref also wants to change color, and this clashes. I just decided that in the hyperlinks which are highlighted, I switch off hyperref color. Okay, here a couple of technical problems. And the biggest problem is this. When I implemented it, first I used marginpars. And I didn't realize that marginpars change page breaks. So copy editors told me, okay, we very carefully created the manuscript, we very carefully did line and page break, then we switched to final and everything went wrong. And it was a big problem for me until I understood that this is just how marginpars work. So solution, and I say a solution instead of the solution, I don't use marginpars. Instead of, I use the famous trick with zero width picture. So basically, from the point of view of TUG, I just add something which has zero width and zero height, so it's basically nothing. And when I switch to final, I just don't add it. And I can reasonably hope, again, with TUG you cannot be confident in anything, but can reasonably hope that this does not change in the final variant. So basically, whenever I have an editorial comment, I look at the point where is this, I move to the margin and put something which from the point of TUG is 0 width and 0 height picture. I have problem with this, and the problem is that with the TUG output routine, I don't know the coordinates of this point before I shipped out the page. Well, how do I solve it? I solve it in the standard LaTeX way. I create coordinates to the aux file, and in the next run, if they didn't change, I know the coordinates of my point. And if they did, I just rerun this. So there is a great package zref, which, and we need unique counters for each editorial comment and so on. We can do this. The second problem is this. Margin pars have a very interesting feature. They usually don't overlap. If you put a couple of margin pars and they want to be on the same place, they repel each other. But since I put this thing into 0 width picture, I no longer can rely on them of not overlapping. Actually, they do overlap. Actually, I could probably put something like, I could have special place for heights, widths, and so on. I could probably put some complicated algorithm for preventing it, but I decided that it's not, it's probably too much work for too little gain. So instead, I gave the copy editor a way to move the comment up and down. So if you see that your comment is a couple of comments overlapping, just move the comment, one of them there. So this is, again, the philosophy is you solve something which can be solved easily automatically, and if you encounter something which is easier to do manually, just do it. So we just add manual vertical shifts. So here is the implementation, and at this point it was written long ago, so it's probably when LaTeX 3 was in the not yet adopted, so it's a classical L2 tech, but it works. So how much time do I have? So first, what is the status of the code? The code is public, but it's just a part of our art style, which is a style for annals of mathematics. And by the way, I probably should, sorry, I forgot, I should probably give a lot of thanks to people from Annals of Mathematics and from another journal, Res Philosophica, who basically paid for development of this, tested this, and have been using it for many years. I don't know whether people want it to use. If you want to use it, one of the reasons I want to talk about it today is because I want to understand whether anybody but me and the journals I work with and the copy editors I work with really needs this. If you think that it's needed by somebody else, I probably can write a module, write a package which just puts this functionality and make it. But anyways, right now the code is public. You just need some knowledge and some time to look at our Mart source code and take it. An interesting question is that we have a lot of interactive systems like Overleaf, like Prima, like TechFolio, and so on. And you can probably use this thing as a back end for it. So if we have a package, you can probably make some user interface and make these comments appear there. And after yesterday's and workshop, I now understand that there is a possibility to make margin paragraphs tagged properly, I still don't understand how, but I understand that it's possible because of Frank's demonstration. So I'm thinking that now we can, for the first time in history, make GELI proofs available for blind offers. It would be absolutely great if we could do it properly, and I could probably do. So my biggest question to you is, do you think that you might need this as a separate package, and how much do you need, so I could put some effort into making it? That's basically all I wanted to say today.
So we open for questions. Do we have any questions for Boris?
Actually, I'm worried about that second compilation to save the position and to manipulate it. Is it possible to do that at the first time itself?
Is it possible what?
First compilation itself, to save the position and interact with ZY.
Well, I think it's the same problem as with label and ref. You create the number of your reference on the first compilation, you read it on the second compilation, and you check whether it changed because of this, right? But on the first compilation, the margin pars are, the editorial notes are somewhere in very strange location.
Okay.
What about multiple authors and multiple versions?
Excuse me?
What about multiple authors and multiple versions?
My people, I'm not sure.
Multiple authors means, say, 3 authors are writing to the same document. Not simultaneously, but
yeah, I understand, but I don't solve this problem because right now, again, I work for Annals of Mathematics, and they are very, very old-fashioned. They send the proofs by email, they get it back by email, and you don't have this concurrent work at all, because at any point only one person has access to the TeX file. But of course, when you do a real system, you probably want to solve the concurrence problem. Yes.
it's not about time. What I'm saying is, say 3 authors are writing in the same document, not at the same time.
Yeah, what you can do, and the system allows you, it allows each author to have their own style of comments. So you can say that, for example, the author A uses green color, user B uses pink, and so on. And that's exactly why layers are there. Layers show either who wrote or for whom you are written, and so on. And you can have as many layers as you want.
By layers, you mean preview and nesting?
What do you mean nest? At present, you cannot have comments to comments. Each comment is to the text. But you can easily emulate it by just answering something there.
And what about multiple versions?
What is what?
Multiple versions of the same document.
Yeah, you can have multiple versions, of course, but this is outside. You can have as many versions as possible, and you can have as many layers switched on and off. So basically, you can have a version for author, you can have a version for chief copy editor, you can have a version for production, and they would have completely different comments there. But the source would be the same. You just change what layer you show.
Thanks.
Yeah, just a brief comment, Boris. You said you hope that in the final version things do not change because of this tiny thing. It still might change, and this is why I would suggest to always keep the empty picture in your final version rather than taking it out. Because, I mean, if you do everything right and you've considered every possibility of where the comment can be applied and stuff like that, you get away with it by taking it out. But if you just leave in an empty thing which is the same object to take as the one that actually contains the text, you are 100% sure. So I would keep it.
Yeah, thank you. It's a very good comment. Thank you.
And I would consider, instead of typesetting the comment, to use actually to create a PDF comment. You can create the annotations that you can add in the PDF by clicking somewhere. You can create them from the text side.
Yeah.
And then you would have PDF comments and people can use in it and add something and perhaps look in the PDF at them. It could be stabler than trying to figure out if they overlap or not overlap and something like this. So long comments are perhaps a problem because then you need numbers and a footnote so that you can. I have done copywriting myself, so I know that long comments should not be in the margin. They should be at the end on an extra page, and there should simply be a number and something like this. And that's difficult to do all with typesetting. PDF comments could be easier.
Maybe I didn't consider, thank you, maybe I didn't consider this, but it's worth thinking about.
I also wanted to suggest PDF comment only. Maybe with your existing code, you can just develop an option. If you switch on to that option, then instead of typeset comments, you get annotated PDFs or vice versa.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I myself also had some use cases where I wanted to make a distinction between final or a draft. How did you toggle it?
How did I see whether it's final or draft?
Yeah, how do you switch it in later?
I have, in my class, I have an option, manuscript. And when you have manuscript, you basically, if you look at it, just a moment. You see this, you have line numbers, you have a lot of other things, and you have really big margins. So you can put, manuscript option, it's basically, it's probably a bad name, it's actually galley proof option. When you switch this option off, you change the margins, but the idea is that everything else should be exactly the same. You have just a galley proof of what you want.
Okay. For my solution, and I'm curious if you agree, I chose to extend the command line options, so you can just toggle it with the program itself.
Yeah, you can easily send this option to manuscript in your make file if you want. Yeah, it's for example through ampersand command, and so there are lots of technical way of doing it. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other question for Boris?
There are no questions online, at least yet, but I have a small question.
Yeah.
Assume I need to write a review comment on the very last line of the page.
You see me?
If I need to put a comment, but the comment location is going to be on the very last
Then
line of the
you
page.
manually put it up because you have this, and you probably
So a negative value.
Yeah, yes, you can put put positive and negative value. And actually, if you look at my example, do you see this minus 0.5x here? When this is a real example, I did it, and when I tried to do it, I found that it would overlap with the next editorial comment, so I moved it a little bit up.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
So you mentioned that marginpar can change page breaks.
Yes.
It was surprising to me. Could you give some minimal example of when this would usually happen?
I understand that the output routine is influenced by margin parse. And I've seen, Frank probably can comment it better.
It's very simple and very complicated. But the point is, tech can break at places where there are no explicit penalties in certain situations. If you go to the output routine, that place gets a penalty of 10,000. So in other words, you cannot break again at this point. So you get an explicit penalty at this point. Now, if something like a marginpar or a float is being handled, it goes to the output routine, something happens, and then the output routine returns stuff back. And it tried to return stuff back as best as possible, so it puts an explicit penalty in there. And there are some situations where non-explicit penalties compared to an explicit penalty of 0 or something is different. And this is where, in some very weird cases, because normally LaTeX tries to avoid this, you can have a non-break at the end of the day where you would otherwise break if there's no marginpar. So that's where things started to change. It's usually some sort of edge cases, but edge cases happen if you have millions of documents.
I would say, okay, for annals of mathematics, a paper is usually something like from 100 to 300 pages long, and I have problems like these. We have problems like, I would not say in every paper, but almost every paper. So even while it might be edge case, if you have lots of margin parse, and unfortunately we have lots of comments because the authors, we have it too often to be tolerated.
Yeah, I mean, when I meant edge case, is the marginpar has to fall very close to a page break, so what it actually can influence. It is near a place where tech has to make a decision. So if you have a long paper and you have many comments, and some of the comments will close to a page break, and therefore the problem then happens more often.
Yeah.
But in a normal document where you use margin pars just from marginal loads, they are very seldom falling off the page, basically, because when you write, you see they are falling off the page, and normally with a single one, everything is fine. So that's the reason why you see it actually in real life quite often.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a problem. Optimization of tech at the time when there was not a lot of memory, one of those.
Any other questions, comments?
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Boris.
Thank you.
Can we invite the next speaker?